Well, hello, it's me, Dr. Cheryl. How would you like to join me live this month online for some free workshops? Of course you'd like to. So make sure you click below where you're listening to this podcast and get on the wait list. And we'll make sure you get your exclusive invitation to one of two amazing opportunities over the next month. One, I'm going to be offering a free Q&A for couples on Zoom. Now you can send me your questions ahead of time. It can be anonymous. You don't have to come on camera, but if you'd like to come on camera alone or with your partner, you can do so. That's happening in the next few weeks. And then in the first 2 weeks of October, oh my goodness, I'll be offering for the only time this year, my free passion masterclass where I will take a deep dive with you into the 3 keys to passion. I'll ask you some questions. You'll do some polls. Again, it's completely anonymous. Be there with your partner. Grab a pen and paper. It's extraordinary. Go to my website, drcherylfraser.com, or in the show notes below where you're listening, and make sure you sign up for the wait list, and you'll be sure to get the invitations. I can't wait to meet you and your partner over the next month. And for a few select couples listening, I only take 100 once a year. In late October, I'm kicking off the 3-month Become Passion program. Few select couples listening right now will join me for that, and I really look forward to that. Sign up below because free is great, and it takes time and effort to create love that lasts a lifetime. That's what this podcast and all my work is all about. So let's get going with this week's episode of Sex, Love, and Elephants, and create love that lasts a lifetime. Hello, hello, hello. I'm extremely excited because I have a special guest. I know he's not on camera. It is my, drum roll please, husband joining me today on Sex, Love, and Elephants to talk about why it's so important to work on your relationship. Are you listening? I hope you are, because I hope you'll all be joining me in this next 2 months. I'm going to be offering a couple of free masterclasses where I'm going to teach you the keys to working on your relationship. I'm going to offer a free Zoom Q&A. You can come on camera, get coaching with me, or if you're camera shy, you can send me in your question ahead of time anonymously, but that's all to come. Today's about why would you even work on your relationship? Because it sure doesn't sound like fun to work on your relationship. We call my hubby. We like to keep his self private in my world. I'm a public figure. He doesn't necessarily choose to be. Trust me, he's good looking. It's not that he's not on camera because he's a troll. And if he was, I'd love him just as much, but he's tall, dark, and handsome. Introduce yourself, hubby. We call him hubby. His name is not for public consumption. Go ahead, baby.
Hey, folks. I'm here joining my beautiful wife to talk about why working on our relationship has improved it and why it will benefit other people.
It's so true, hey, and a couple of things. We're just kind of free form today. And if you're watching this on YouTube on video, you might notice I'm very dressed down today. I've got my elephant t-shirt on that I walk the dogs in. I got my fuzzies on and no makeup. I'm feeling a little poop today, so I may look a little tired. But you know what? We talked about it, right, babe? And we want to just show up as ourselves. And no bells, no whistles, not that I'm big on the bells and whistles anyway, and just talk from our hearts to each and every couple listening, each and every one of you listening who is aching for your partner to listen to this podcast because you want more. You want more connection. You want more passion and romance. So you want to feel like the special person in your partner's world and that they light you up. You want to feel a little more turned on. Where'd the desire go? Where's the passion? You don't want to have endless circular fighting arguments that are hurtful and ugly and they go nowhere, but you don't really know where to start. Well, I hope you know you're in the right place by listening to Sex, Love, and Elephants because I know what I'm talking about. I'm a PhD clinical psychologist. I won over $200,000 of scholarship money for my research through my 13 years in university. I'm a sex therapist. I've taught for Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I'm a published author. I'm an authentic person. I am not a robot. Hey, babe.
Yes.
Do you know that a lot of content these days and even the voices of the expert is created by robots?
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Do you know that it's super easy? I think you did it on a lark. You sketched out a book in a minute by asking an AI to do a 5-chapter or 10-chapter book.
Yeah.
Do you know I wrote every single word in my book myself?
Oh, I remember that.
And I make that point, not to blow my own horn, but just to reassure you, you're in the right place if you're looking for real advice from a real expert and a real husband and a real couple who've made lots of mistakes and still screw up And I really care about you and all the couples I work with. I work with over 800 couples in the last 5 years in the Become Passion program. I'm thrilled that I'll be welcoming about 100 of you. I keep it into a small group so I can get to know you. I coach live every other week. It's a whole curriculum. It's amazing. But for now, what I want you to do is to enjoy hearing just from our hearts and our souls and our own hard-won experience why it's so important to work on your relationship. Do you remember, babe, about 3 months into our dating, I was doing some advanced training in a certain couples model just because I always like to learn more, develop my skills, always learn something, even if I've been doing it for decades, working with couples on all sorts of issues. And there was a workshop, a weekend 2-day couples workshop that was part of the training I was doing that I was going to go help at. And I said, hey, do you want to come with me and participate, like you and me, dating 3 months, participate in this couples workshop? And I think at first you were a bit like, okay. I mean, we were 3 months in, right? Madly in love, having sex all the time. It was easy. What did you think? And was it worthwhile going to a couples workshop together only 3 months into our dating life?
It was really an interesting thing. I remember being a little overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was really curious as to why.
Why what?
Why are we going? And what's the benefit going to be?
Right, because we have no problems.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. And I mean, I sat there and I watched and I processed a lot of information over those 2 days. And I remember feeling a little uncomfortable with some of the material.
Yeah.
And some of the couples around us as they were processing stuff through. I mean, I could feel the tension.
The pain, the disconnect. We were in pretty good shape. Again, early days, hadn't really hit against our big patterns, hadn't really come up with the ways our families were different. The way we handle conflict is different. I tend to pursue and want to be relentless. I want to talk about it. You need to pull away and kind of regroup and ponder things before you come forward. And we learned some tangible skills that we could start using early on in our relationship to help us with ugly arguments.
Yes.
So we never had an ugly argument ever again, right?
I wish I could say this is correct.
Yeah, of course we did. Of course we did, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, fast forward, well, we've been together 12 years, everybody listening. We met in our late 40s. And I'd say year 3 and 4, we had major power struggles.
Yeah, I would say there was some major power struggles. I mean, we were both trying to fill the relationship out as we envisioned it for ourselves.
In other words, we wanted it our way.
Yeah.
Right? And we were trying to figure out how to live together after both living independently for some years. We were trying to figure out power dynamics, who's the leader in certain things? Do we co-lead? We had some really bad arguments. We got flooded. Anyone who needs a reminder, that's where you're irrational. You're so emotional, you're irrational, and you may get very tunnel vision. I mean, let's not put too pretty of a lipstick on the pig, so to speak. We really struggled. I was considering not staying in the relationship. I loved you a ton, but we didn't know how to have deep, meaningful conversations that led somewhere.
No.
We didn't know how to stop the ugly arguments.
No.
Our sex life was still pretty dynamic, but we didn't feel like making love if we were disconnected and not emotionally connected.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the problem started right there, is we would have an argument and then we would struggle to reconnect.
Yeah.
And it would be 2, 3, 4 days before we could find the middle ground and the compassion in one another to let the argument go.
And how do we do these days?
We do really well these days.
Yeah. In fact, I was talking to the couples. There's a 3-month program. I hope some of you are joining me in this fall. You can't join yet, but stay tuned. In fact, wherever you're listening to this, you might want to click below and get on the wait list. It doesn't mean you're a wait list to actually join the big program, but it means you'll be the first to be invited to the free masterclasses I do. I'll do 4 of them. Each one's taught live. You can ask me your questions anonymously. You're not on camera. It's amazing. And I'll also be doing 1 Zoom Q&A. sometime in the next 6 weeks, and I'll get an invitation to that. Or just go to my website, drcherylfraser.com, and you can sign up for the waitlist to the Become Passion program and get all the goodies. You want to be in my email system if you want to be alerted and invited to these things. Of course, we do not spam you, and you can unsubscribe anytime. I myself tend to my email inbox pretty carefully, but you'll want to be invited to these free things. You're listening, you're investing your time now, so make sure you're on that wait list so you get the invitation to all the free stuff. Now, I was saying this to the couples. So couples take the 3-month program. I only take 100 at most every time, so I can work with you well. And then there's an option to join an ongoing program, right, babe?
Yeah.
We're not going to talk much about that program today, but the point is I was talking to 2 couples in the ongoing program who've worked with me now off and on for 2 years. And we were talking about what we each do well and what we do poorly. And I said, one of the things hubby and I do really well, we're champions at this, is we reconnect after a disconnect really, really well. So you just spoke about us not talking for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it. Was it really that bad?
Yeah, it was.
That's horrible. That's so painful. Anybody recognize this who's listening? Anybody going, gulp, that's us, or that's my partner, where we don't know how to find our way back to a reconnection after a disconnect, whether that's a simple argument, hurt feelings, something that was misunderstood, a really big argument, a conflict over something that feels close to a deal breaker, whatever it is. You and I are really good at reconnecting.
Yes.
Did we have a disconnect yesterday when you were trying to clean up the kitchen?
Yeah, we had a minor one.
Yeah. It wasn't very funny for a few minutes, though.
No.
Yeah. Do you want to tell your version of what happened?
Well, I was trying to clean the kitchen up, and my dearly beloved spouse decided that was the perfect time to clean a drawer out.
On the other end of the kitchen, completely not in the area he was working at. By the way, go ahead.
The whole kitchen, when I am cleaning, is my domain.
Oh, my God. Why did I invite you on my show? So then what happened from your perspective?
I did not express myself the very best about you being in my way. And instead of going for a wander and doing something else for 10 minutes, I decided I was going to help you.
And so you took all the, I was going through the supplement drawer, not that it matters, and I was discarding old supplements and vitamins and stuff like that were past their due date, and I was wiping the drawer out so I could put my healthy supplements in there. I was in the corner of the kitchen, like at one end of the long counter, and he had the rest of the counter that he was, to his credit, cleaning up the dishes from the beautiful meal he'd made. And what he didn't know is I'd emptied out all the plastic, supplement bottles, and I needed to rinse them out so they were clean so they could go in the recycling. Because your stuff has to be clean when it goes in the recycling. So he comes over and he grabs the bin I'd emptied that my good supplements were going to go in, and he puts all the bottles in it, and he starts to walk away. And from my side of things, what I call my side of the clock, I'm like, he's taking the empty bin I've emptied to put the good supplements in, and he's thrown all the dirty, he didn't know they weren't rinsed, but the dirty empty jars in there that I need to quickly rinse and clean that are going in the recycle. I'm like, hey, no, I need that. Bring it back. And you kind of lost your biscuit a little bit.
I thought I was helping you.
Yeah, don't be silly. I want you to own that you lost your temper.
Yes, I did. I sort of had a little bit of a mini meltdown for a couple of seconds because...
From your side of the clock, what did you think was happening?
You knew I was going to be cleaning the kitchen right after supper, and it was just like the wrong time to show up.
So to be fair, you are a more even-tempered fellow than I. You're generally pretty easygoing. You're pretty placid.
Yeah.
You lost your temper. You kind of banged the thing down in the sink and said, fine, I won't even do it, which is out of character for you. That's more my behavior, which I'm not proud of at all. If anyone's going to have a mini tantrum, it's more likely to be me. So the moral of the story is we misunderstood each other. We had this moment. I was kind of hurt and upset. It felt way out of line. It kind of was. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was out of line. But we reconnected how quickly?
Within about 20 minutes.
We fully reconnected within about 20 minutes. Within about 3 minutes, I said, stop. This isn't cool. You need to stop what you're doing. And you stopped. And then you're still in a rah, 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 rah. And then we talked, and like 20 minutes later, we had a hug, we had an apology, and we continued on with our night. And then later, about an hour later, we were snuggling, watching a movie, and placing our hands on each other's hearts. What's the moral of the story? Were we good at reconnecting like that in the beginning of our relationship?
No.
No, we had to work on it, folks. We had to train in the sorts of things I teach in the 3-month program. We had to figure out what our triggers were that make us feel irrational. We had to figure out how to understand the partner's side of things, what I call the side of the clock. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. No one's really right or wrong. What I was doing made sense. What you were doing made sense. We misunderstood each other. How hard do you and your partner work on your communication? Do you spend half an hour a week deliberately working on how to handle the bigger arguments, how to reconnect when you've had a disconnect, how to apologize like a mofo, as I like to say, how to hug and let things go? How strong or weak are you all listening in that aspect of your relationship? Now, honey, you work with some of the men in the ongoing program.
Yes.
In what you like to call the guys group or guys night or men's night. What do you find the men have to say about the power of working on your relationship? Because we both know in the 800 couples I've worked with over the last few years, probably about 70% of those couples that are heterosexual, it was the female that wanted to join the program.
Yeah.
She's the one that wanted to work on things, be happier, have more romance, more fun, even more sexuality, because it's a myth that guys are always the one wanting more sex. It's often the women. And so therefore, around 70% of the guys were somewhat reluctant to do the program.
Yeah.
Boy, does that change. What do the guys say about working on your relationship? What do the guys say the benefits are for them, babe?
I mean, the benefits for them are reduced conflict. They are way happier in their relationship. They're actually talking about what's going on in their experiences now, where it used to be is like, I'm having a bad day. Leave me alone. Now it's, I'm having a bad day and this is what's happened. I mean, they're able to express themselves. And I mean, as we've gone through this whole program, I would say that a lot of these gentlemen's emotional intelligence has increased exponentially.
And so that's super important. Can you explain what you mean by that?
They're able to identify what they're feeling. For most men, anger is about the only emotion they really know and understand. But these men are able to identify sadness, joy, happiness,
vulnerability, right? Insecurity, right?
Oh, yeah.
So often couples, by the time they come to the program, some people come to the program a little bit like us when we went to that couples weekend when we were doing well. There's a minority who come who are doing well and they want to learn how to keep doing well. They want to strengthen their skills because right now things are pretty good. But the majority of couples who seek out my program are in some level of distress. Some of them are on the verge of divorce. Some of them are post-affair. Those groups are in a lot of pain and turmoil, and they actually take the program as a way to see whether they can even move forward together as a couple. Many of those couples have had 2 or 3 different couples therapists already, and they turn to my program because I do something related but unique and arguably more effective for a lot of people. Don't take my word for it. Below where you're listening, you can click and watch video testimonials from a number of couples who've taken the Become Passion program and hear what they have to say. But for now, we're talking about how the men in a heterosexual couple, of course, I cater to LGBTQ plus and queer families and couples. You're all absolutely welcome. Tends to be mainly heterosexual couples in the program so far. The men are often reluctant to be there, and the men are often the raving fans.
Yes.
You're talking about them feeling empowered around their emotions, more able to talk to their spouse, their female spouse in this case. Can you say a little bit more about some of the wins, some of the things that make the men such raving fans of the program and the work we do?
I mean, it's hard to say because every one of them is so different. I mean, I look back and it's like one of the guys said to me, he goes, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Dr. Cheryl's program.
Right.
And I was done with my relationship.
Right.
I wanted nothing more to do with it. Then he learned how to communicate.
And get to what was actually bothering each of them.
Yeah.
And those may have been 2 different things, but to learn to understand what is your spouse in pain about? Why are they withdrawn? Why are they not making love with you anymore? Why are they nasty or critical or quiet or defensive or just burying themselves in work and play and hobbies and friends and not showing up to give you time and to spend time with you? There are reasons, everybody. Why would couples work on their relationship? Because it's possible to learn what's wrong, and it's possible to apply the skills, the exercises, and the antidotes towards what's right. You were doing some research today. You kind of went off on a tangent. You went down an ADD rabbit hole, which is awesome, about why it's helpful to work on your relationship. And I had to laugh because I'm like, oh, you mean my entire career of the last 40 years, baby? But you read about the incredible positive impact on longevity. Couples in a long relationship, a longer term relationship that are doing well, live longer.
Yes.
They have better health. There seems to be some preventative qualities, less dementia, less death from cancer. Doesn't mean having a happy relationship fixes all your medical problems. No, it doesn't. But stress is a major, major player in medical issues that lead to our ailing and our death. Couples who are in a decent or happy longer-term relationship as they age talk about their quality of life being better. They talk about their mental health being better. They have less anxiety, less depression overall. They are happier at home. What are some of the other things that you read about that kind of blew your mind? You were quoting some studies to me that I'm somewhat familiar with, but we can be sure most of our listeners aren't today. So what can you share with them of what you learned in your research today?
I mean, as I was digging through, it was like, I mean, they were saying that stress hormones are down. Inflammation markers was another one that surprised me.
It doesn't surprise me. Let me do a caveat for our listening audience. Think about it. You have a bad argument with your partner this morning on your way to work. It's unresolved. You leave with unkind words and you drive to work. I've had so many men as well as women say they feel kind of sick to their stomach on the way to work. They feel anxious. They're distracted at work. There's like this heavy kind of weight on them. This is massive stress response. This is cortisol, adrenaline. The body's going to be pumping out stress hormones all through that day as you maybe check your text and there's nothing from your partner apologizing or reaching out. Or worse, there is something from your partner and it's nasty. I can't believe you went to work. You should have stayed and resolved this. I don't even know what to do with you. I don't even know if we can resolve this. This also leads to inflammation in the body. And it makes you sick. Yeah. But what about happiness? What about psychological impact? What did you learn about that?
I mean, it's exponentially. I mean, it's like they're talking about emotional regulation and your once you've got your stress under control, how it improves and creates greater resilience against when life throws you a curveball.
Bingo. What does resilience mean? What does emotional resilience mean? This is a brilliant thing you've brought forward. It means the ability, as my hubby just said, how do you roll with the punches? How do you recalibrate when life throws you, as you said, a curveball? Outside of your relationship, like suddenly one of your parents is aging and you need to go care for them or maybe move them into a care home or move them back home where you live. What about internal in the relationship? A big fight between the two of you, a medical diagnosis for one of you, having really divergent views on what you want to do through your retirement that you've worked so hard for. This creates a lot of stress and distress. The more you work on your relationship to make it happier, more connected, one of your strengths as you deal with the things that life dishes out, the happier you are. We all know this. Think for yourself, everybody listening. Think of a time where something was going wrong at work, or you were worried about one of your kids, your parents, or your own health, and you and your partner were strong. You were being kind. You were getting along. You felt connected and close and safe with each other. Together, you and I, as an example, we can handle tough stuff really well when we're connected, really well when we're doing well. When we start to feel unconnected, when we're kind of in our polarized corners of what's going wrong, when we're not sharing that and being close, our emotional resilience is down. To shortcut everything we're saying in the first part of this podcast today, frickin' work on your relationship, because having a happier, more harmonious relationship, more peace and ease at home, feeling more connected and happy, enjoying each other makes you a much better person and you're much happier and you are healthier in your body and in your mind. Now, is it possible to fix relationships that are really in the toilet? What have you observed in your 4 or 5 years of the couples you've witnessed through the Become Passion program? That's a 3-month one coming up this October. We're opening the doors, and in the ongoing program. Think of specific guys.
Yeah.
Think of Karen and Howard.
Yeah.
Think of Lisa and Cam.
Yeah.
Think of Jay and Elizabeth. Think of James and Rose. These are all couples who've given us our permission to share their stories. They share their own stories on video as testimonials.
Yeah.
Think of the changes in these couples. What have you witnessed?
I mean, I've watched some of them basically grow into being men from man children.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the best way to describe them.
And how does that affect their relationship? What have you seen in the couples? Have you seen the couples improve? Think of date night when we do date night with them. What do you see? What do you hear?
It's how they interact with one another when they're on camera and they're talking about whatever it is that they're doing, be it a romantic date or an event that they've attended together.
Yeah.
I remember at the beginning, it was, there was a little bit of tension always when they were on.
Yeah.
And now it's just filled with love and admiration for one another.
A lot of the time. Sometimes they struggle, and then they apply what we teach and what we all rehearse together to get out of that struggle when possible. Think about, we did a date night a few days ago. We do these Friday night date nights in our programs where couples can come on Zoom, not in the 3-month program. You're not on Zoom there. That's a completely private program for you and your sweetie. But if you choose to join the ongoing program, we do some Zoom things with the small group. And so this was Friday night date night where hubby and I host it live from our living room. It's really a delight. Usually there's a cat or a dog or 2 drive-bys in our camera and in our couples cameras. But we did a thing, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just this Friday, just a few days ago, where at the beginning we said, and everybody listening can do this when you get home tonight, or if you're home now, ask your sweetie to come listen to this and do this little fun exercise. It was really moving, wasn't it? What we said was look around the room and find an object that represents a special trip you had or a special date you had, or just represents something special, a special memory about the two of you. And then everybody they had 1 minute, went to grab things. And do you remember the couple, we won't use their names because I haven't asked them, but the couple for Chicago, she had these little metal, like little discs that were like pounded out of something, and each had like a Disney character etched into it, and then a word. One said love, one said hope, one said adventure. And she said her hubby would hide these around the house, and she would find them and she'd put them in special places, like the little corner of their living room where they have their wedding photos and a few wedding paraphernalia. She put one there. She had one in her jewelry box. She had one, I think, in her makeup box. And then he explained something she didn't know. He said they're actually made out of old Disneyland rides that were melted down and pounded into these discs. And then we went to another couple, and he showed a fan from a pride parade they'd attended together. They're a heterosexual couple, but they believe in gay rights, as certainly do I. And he said, he's an extrovert, right? Our buddy E, he's an extrovert. He likes to go to all the parties, all the things, all the flamboyant, having a great time. And he says, she's more of an introvert. It's not really her thing. And so this fan represented this really important thing to them both, to support gay rights. And that they went literally to a parade. They were on a float, and she was all in, and it meant so much to him that she joined and partied with him. Then we had people with a stuffed animal that they had got on their honeymoon together in somewhere special. Someone else, it was a bracelet that they didn't wear, but it was sitting on their mantle. That was this bracelet they had chosen together to represent their love, and on and on and on. What's the moral of the story? When we work on our relationship, each of you listening, I want you to do this thought experiment. I want you to literally do it tonight or today or right now. You can do it if your sweetie's not home. Look around your room in your home and find something that represents the two of you and share that memory with your partner. Now, honey, I'm going to put you on the spot. Why is that important and helpful?
It's step number 1 in towards connection.
Mm-hmm.
And step number 2 is it does memory recall.
Mm-hmm.
And remembering happy things is a lot more difficult than remembering the stuff that is not so happy.
Now, I'm going to stop you there because that's so important. I'm going to elucidate it more for the audience. What hubby is talking about is the negativity bias of the human mind. Now, in order to stay alive, our mind needs to scan the environment and see what things are threatening. When you're driving, even if you're daydreaming or listening to music or a podcast or whatever, maybe this one, your mind is still scanning the environment. And if there's something that looks hinky, there's a car accelerating to your left or whatever, the mind warns you, hey, something could be wrong. That's the negativity bias of the human mind. It's what kept us alive when we were cave people. When you were a cave person, if you came out of your cave in the morning and you had a long leisurely stretch and you said, oh, it's a beautiful morning, you were eaten. You were dead, baby. It was over. The people who survived and passed on their genes crept out of the caves, scared as heck, scanning the environment for what's bad, what can eat me, what can kill me. The problem is you do this in your marriage or your relationship. You'll look for all the ways your partner's disappointing you or has let you down or left the clothes in the dryer for 3 days. Does that ever happen in our house, sweetie?
Nope.
Yeah, liar, liar, pants on fire. So what my honey just put forward is by doing this little exercise we did on date night with the couples we work with that you can all do now today to look around your environment, find something that's a happy memory, an interesting memory of your time together, and then sharing it with each other and sharing the memory. And even better, in our advanced programs, we share those memories with other couples. What we saw happen is typical. We saw hearts soften. We saw faces smile. We saw couples who maybe came into date night, like one of them said, they'd had a little argument right before date night. They weren't going to come. They were in, as they said, very pissy moods. But going back to that happy memory, it let that tension melt away. It let them reconnect, which is the point we're trying to make on this conversation right now, everybody, is that by working on your relationship mindfully, doing deliberate things, things can improve. I'm going to be dead honest, as I always am. It's really difficult work. It's a 3-month program for a reason. And it's a lot of work. It's important work. It is exercises. It is things you'll do. It's things you actually participate in. It's the work. It's not just information. Here's a bunch of great information. Bye-bye. You're asked each week to do certain homework, certain exercises with your partner. Every other week I teach live, and you can submit your questions anonymously or not on camera for the 3-month program coming up in October. It is very much you and your partner doing the work and then asking me your questions, and I answer them and so much more. It is tough as hell to change your old patterns. It takes a lot of work to improve your communication, to improve your arguing. We've only talked really about the first of the 3 major chunks. The other 2 chunks, I'll talk more about that in the next podcast. The first one that we've talked about is communication and conflict resolution and emotional resilience and how to understand each other, how to forgive each other, stuff that most couples aren't very good at. The second is romance each other again, for goodness sake. Do you remember falling in love, babe?
Yep.
Do you remember the dates?
Oh, yeah.
The epic dates we planned, and they were so sexy, and we wore nice underwear, and we tried to dazzle each other, surprise each other, and delight each other. And we did a bloody good job of it, didn't we?
We did.
What happens these days if we aren't mindful about that?
Basically, we don't go anywhere.
We can get pretty lazy.
Yeah.
It can be, hang out with the pets. Oh, the dog's not feeling well. We'll just stay home and watch Netflix. Those are cliches for a reason. It's because what a lot of busy, tired couples are doing. We work a lot in the program on the second aspect of great relationship. I call it thrill, which is effectively how to have dates again, how to surprise each other again, how to mindfully make time for each other. No kids, no talking about the work or refinancing the mortgage. This sounds easy, right? Oh, we'll just start having dates and having fun. It's not that easy. You need guidance. You need exercises. You need examples. We run a couple of fun challenges during the 3-month program. It's all anonymous again, if you want it to be, where I challenge people to go on what I call a thrill date, something interesting, exciting, or different. And then couples kind of have a friendly competition and we give prizes. It really leads people to say, one of the nicest feedbacks I get about the program is, we're having fun again. We're treating each other like we're someone special again. I feel kind of like back when we were dating. That's the second big chunk.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot more time left on today's conversation, but I'm more than happy to have my sweetie back again over these next few weeks as we ramp up towards this amazing doors opening for the program, which is we also do after about 8 weeks of working on everything else in the relationship, because you need a hell of a strong foundation before we enter into the third glorious part of being in a romantic chosen relationship, which is the sexual and sensual side. Now, babe, how great was our sex life for the first couple of years we were together?
Amazing.
Like, not bragging, but it was amazing. We were in our late 40s. I was 49, you were 48, and we had just dynamic sexual attraction, exciting sex, high quality sex, frequent sex. We were delighted. And then our bodies started to change. I hit menopause, and really, to my surprise, my sex drive almost died overnight. Now, I'd had a super healthy, strong sex life my whole life since I was a pretty young pre-adolescent, mid-adolescent, maybe 12, 13 years old, where I discovered the joys of my very first sex toy. Do you remember what it is, babe?
Yep.
What was it?
The Snoopy toothbrush.
Snoopy electric toothbrush. Hello, my clitoris and that Snoopy got very well acquainted. I don't say that to shock anyone. I say that to keep it real and to say I loved pleasure. I loved how sex felt. It was a joy. It's something I chose to share with people I loved. and serial monogamous deep relationships. And we had great sex for a few years.
We did.
And then it got pretty mediocre really fast.
Yeah.
Right? And what do we need to do to make our sensual life more of a priority? What do we teach the other couples to do to bring more joy and fun and, frankly, more frequency to one's sexual relationship? What are a couple of the keys?
Well, I mean, the biggest key to it is schedule it.
I know people don't love that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
in a busy life,
Yep.
if you don't block the time out,
Yep.
it's not going to happen. Something's going to come up and push it out.
Or one of you will be all ready to go just to squeeze it in between appointments, and the other one won't be in the headspace. They'll be stressed. They'll be thinking about work, and they'll be like, no, I'm not into it. And then you end up in the terrible spiral of one person asking for sexuality, the other person turning them down. One person feels rejected. The other feels guilty. You stop talking about it. I'm going to drop a stat you've heard a lot here on Sex, Love, and Elephants, but if you're new to me, this may be new to you. 30 to 40% of couples in a long-term relationship aren't making love at all. So why work on your relationship? I'm not just talking about the arguing and the kindness and the fun and the dates. Those are critical. I'm also talking about how to reapproach and recreate your sexual and sensual life together. That's the last 5 weeks of the 12 to 13 week program. We focus on sensuality. I have couples that haven't made love in 5 years, in 8 years, and even 10 years who move toward making love again. I have couples who make love on occasion, but the quality isn't good. The bodies have changed. There may be erection issues, vaginal pain. I have couples where one person's quite motivated to have a sexual life, but the other's not at all. And it's partly because they're arguing. They're critical. They're miserable. They're unhappy. They don't feel special or cherished. There's no dates. There's no fun. And to move from that into sexuality isn't an easy thing for a lot of men and women. So why is it important to work on your relationship? Because there's only ever 3 possibilities in your relationship. Listen up. Take notes. The first is you stay the way you are. And if you're great, fantastic. I'm going to come back to you in a minute. Everybody else that isn't great, do you want to stay where you are? Even if you're pretty good, wouldn't you prefer more fun, more peacefulness, more joy, better communication, more and happier sensuality? I know you would. So the first choice is to stay the way you are. And usually that goes worse, not better. The second is to break up or leave or have an affair. The third is to choose to stay and make it better. How do you do that? You need information. You need action. You need a coach and a guide. You need accountability. This is what I've built into the program. And I used to see couples as a couples and sex therapist. That was a joy and a delight, and it meant the world to me. I cherish the field. I felt I could create something that I felt could be more powerful and could reach more couples. The feedback I get, do not take my word for it. Go watch videos of couples in their own words, real couples just like you, using their real names and their real stories, saying we saw 2 or 3 different couples therapists and we learned a few things, but it did not give us the type of repeatable skills we learned in the Become Passion program. Access to Cheryl was invaluable. The curriculum is so good. You can go back to it. You can rewatch things, reapply communication skills, sexuality, questionnaires, et cetera, et cetera. I really hope you'll join me for an amazing 12-week journey kicking off in the middle of October this year. And it's okay if you decide the 12-week journey isn't for you. Please sign up to the waitlist so you can be invited to the free masterclass. I teach about 90 minutes, 2 hours of really deep material online. You're not online, you're perfectly private. And then I stick around at the end for usually an hour, hour and a half, and I answer your questions. You can type in the chat box anonymously. What a great thing that is. You enjoy listening to me. It's much more fun to watch me. And I want to hear your questions and see how I can help. And of course, I'm looking forward to the approximately 100 of you that I'll get to work with deeply for 3 whole months, and some of you for years. Because at the end of the 3 months, a lot of people choose to stick around and join our ongoing monthly program. And we get to know them really well. And what are we doing this November, baby, with couples from our ongoing program?
Our couples from our ongoing program are going to be joining us in Mexico at a beautiful villa where we were married.
In a very small town in Mexico that shall remain nameless. We're going to a very special place, to a place that can only take 15 couples in the villas, as my sweetheart said, where we were married, where we had our small and intimate wedding. And what are we doing there?
We are going to have some incredible time with one another as we talk about how our relationships have improved, what we can do to continue improving them. And I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but there is a very, very, very special event planned for.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. We don't want to say anything because some of our couples listen to this podcast and there's several surprises, but we're spending a week with couples from our program in an intimate setting with a lot of fun, a lot of joy, some special outings, a special outing for the women, one for the men. They don't know what it is. That's why we're not saying it. And then we've got 2 workshops. The women will all get a workshop with me. The men all get a workshop with you. And then the couples get a workshop with both of us. And then we're going to culminate with a very special reception and a very emotional thing we'll be doing together. This is what it's like to work with us. We get to know you. In the 3-month program, you get information that you can go back to over and over for the rest of your life. When you finish the 3 months, I don't take the lessons away. A lot of teachers do that. They expire. I want you returning to this 3 years from now. When you have a problem that you weren't maybe struggling with when you did the 3 months with me, you can go back and watch the specific material related to that. You can go back and watch the live Q&As. And those of you that really connect with us in our work and what I do and what we offer may then join us. Maybe next year, you'll be joining us in our in-person couples group adventure that we do with our ongoing couples. But the purpose of today was to give you hope about working on your relationship can actually lead somewhere. But let me be maybe unintentionally a bit of a downer, but I'm going to be quite serious. If you're working with a couples therapist, be very clear that they are trained in couples therapy and sex therapy. Any counselor, any psychologist, any person who is licensed to practice in mental health and maybe excellent at it with one-on-one clients can say they see couples and have absolutely zero couples training. They don't do it to be liars or to be bad people. They just think that it's not that different. Couples work is extremely different. So if you're working with someone privately, ask them where and how they trained, what couples models they use. Are they trained in sexuality? Hardly any therapists have any sexuality training. Even if they've got good couples training, they may not have sexuality training. Buyer beware, really research the person you work with. And if you're lucky enough to find one of the gems out there, and they are out there, work with them deeply for a year or so. I bring all of that to the program. In 3 months, you're going to get a lot of information, a lot of background and access to me. And I hope you'll consider it, whether you work with me or not, my loves. Don't give up. Working on your relationship can lead you somewhere, but you need good guidance and you need someone you can talk to when you hit the snags and when it's not going well, or your partner won't participate, or your heart is breaking because it feels like you're going nowhere. So what are your next steps? Keep listening. This is a place to learn and grow. I give you some really actionable science-based techniques and tips in this podcast. Make sure you're on our wait list or you're on my email list already. If you get my Tuesday emails, big pink box, and often a video or a podcast episode, great, then you'll hear about the free stuff. If you are not on my list, join the wait list or join my Love Bite list by going to my website, and you'll get the invitation to the free masterclasses. I'll be offering 4 of them in mid-October on different days and times. Each one I teach live. I'm also going to offer a very special Zoom Q&A session for anyone who wants to come work with me, meet me, or ask me a question, or simply come watch and hear me answer other couples' questions, and so much more. Just before we move to today's Love Bite, I just want to ask you, honey, anything else you want to say for people who are thinking, as a lot of people should think, I don't know, can this actually lead to change? Can this actually help us improve? What would you say?
I would say that it's anything can, how would I best put that? Yes, you can change. I mean, we are human. We are stuck in our patterns at times, but yes, we can change. That's the whole idea behind it. That's why we've got a forebrain. We can make choices. And the biggest choice that we can make is sitting down and going with your partner and having a conversation about where do we want our relationship to go? And
what do we want it to look like?
Yeah.
How do we want to feel?
Yeah.
5 months from now?
Yeah.
What do we want to be doing differently? How do we want to improve?
Exactly. And that's the important conversation that needs to happen.
What do we want our sexual life to look like? Do we want to try to be sexual again if we're not? How do we want to handle conflict? Do we want to just avoid it and never solve the big stuff? Or do we want to be able to talk in a way that even if we're not entirely on the same page, we respect and understand each other's point of view?
Exactly. I mean, the one saying is, like I saw a while ago, if it's true love, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And And then I saw the quote underneath it. It says, it's only true love, and it's meant to be is if you're willing to work on it.
Right. And the reason I said, I didn't mean to be super disrespectful to the quote, but actually I did, because if it's true love, it's meant to be. I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
True love is created. You might fall deeply in love very easily and very well. We more or less did.
Yeah.
But do you remember what I kept saying in our first few dates?
Yeah. Ground it in reality.
Right. I kept saying we need to ground this in reality, which might sound odd, but I felt a lot of passion, attraction, and interest and joy and hope that maybe we're going to go the distance.
Yeah.
We didn't even make love for 5 weeks because we didn't want it, the great sexual passion we felt for each other to get in the way of grounding it in reality. In other words, is this just a crazy week or two of lust and infatuation that we're going to rather quickly learn who each other is at a deeper level and find out we're not interested, or we're not so compatible, or we're really different people with different life goals? So we enjoyed the hell out of dating and writing each other long letters. I was traveling and we were emailing, and we took time. I think we both knew within a couple dates that this might go a distance.
Yeah.
But we didn't decide that for at least a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right? We were monogamously dating, but we knew that real love isn't meant to be. Real love is created. That actually brings us to today's love bite. We've just written it, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Real love isn't meant to be. Real love is co-created by two people who are willing to do what it takes to create love that lasts a lifetime. Thank you so much for joining myself and my hubby.
Thanks for having me.
Here on Sex, Love, and Elephants. Can't wait to be back with you. There's going to be some special episodes over this next month or so. So really all catering to this incredibly heartfelt and important idea. Don't give up. You can work on love. I'm here to help you. Can't wait to work with some of you deeply. And the rest of you can't wait to meet you in the free classes coming up. For now, make love intentional. Say goodbye, sweetheart.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye for now.